All right. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, so
Yeah, we were just chatting about how crazy things have gotten again, even more. And we were talking about
crazy adventures of our animals.
yeah. I was telling her I picked her up at the airport yesterday evening, and I told her that I had seen something the night before. I picked her up, and I actually wrote it down. Let me see. Oh yeah, here it is. There goes my glasses. Okay, so I actually wrote this down because it was so prominent. Something prompted me to go to our second bathroom and look up into the sky through the windows. Specifically, that window in that room, in that bathroom. Okay. And it was dark. It was around 4:50 a.m. Okay, so think about this. 4:50 a.m. I get a tap on my shoulder to go look out the window. And I got up and went straight in there and looked up. And when I did, I saw what I thought was an airplane light traveling from north to south right over top of the crepe myrtle tree in our front yard. Except it stopped and froze in place. I watched for maybe 5 minutes and then it started zigzagging.
Whoa.
That caught my attention so much that I chanced a thought of going outside to see it, which I proceeded to do. It was chilly outside, but I stood there watching it for another 5 minutes. It stayed roughly in the same spot, so much so that I thought maybe my eyes had been playing tricks on me. But then I could see it changing colors. And a smaller light, slightly green, detached from it. Eventually, I came back inside back to the bathroom in that window and watched it from there. It started zigzagging some more and displayed different colors, mostly greens and reds, but I did get some other colors too. But not like aircraft lights, more like the whole thing, the whole light was changing shades of color. And it would go from like light red to medium red to dark red, then a shade of green, then a darker shade, then a lighter shade, then a darker shade, and it kept doing that. But it wasn't blinking. There was no blinking.
Was there any pattern to the lights, or was it just like randomly happening?
Random. It seemed random to me. Let's see, where was I? My heart was slightly pounding until I concentrated on slowing it down. Something tells me that was no aircraft nor helicopter, and it was as if it wanted me to watch and that it would be back.
That's
because that bathroom, is that a bathroom you normally go in, especially at that time? So it was like that's crazy.
The toilet doesn't work. The toilet doesn't work in there.
Yeah. Bathroom.
Wow.
Yeah. So
and at 4:50 in the morning.
At 4:50 in the morning. I ended up staying up till about 8 in the morning. I didn't go to bed till 8.
Yeah.
And I stay up late, but
not that
late.
Like that.
Yeah. Not that late early.
Something got my attention and wanted me to see it.
Yeah.
And I saw it. Now,
yeah.
What was it? I don't know. I don't know what it was. Nothing's coming to me to say specifically it's this or it's that or whatever. I just saw it. I wrote it down. I came back in after watching it for about 15, 20 minutes and wrote what I just read to you because it was that prominent.
There was still a little bit of skepticism too, because you were saying was my eyes playing tricks on me. It wasn't still buying into like.
But then it started changing.
It's happening, you know.
And keep in mind, I worked on a flight line. Okay, when I was in the Marine Corps, I was an avionics specialist. I've seen all kinds of aircraft. In fact, she could tell you.
He tells me all the time, that's a such and such, or this is a such and such.
So I've been around aircraft. I know aircraft lights. I know what they look like. I know how they change. I've actually worked on aircraft lights. At part of avionics, I work on aircraft lights. This was not an aircraft. I don't know what it was, but it was an aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't. It would go from this part of the sky. I'm looking up in the sky. It looked like, I mean, if it wasn't moving, it looked like a star.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and it was right there. Like I said, when I first saw it, it was moving. It was moving up in the air, and it moved kind of like this, and then it stopped, and it just stayed there. And if I had just caught it then, it would have looked like a star. But when it started zigzagging, it went from here to here, here, and then it zipped all the way over here, and then it went over here. And I thought, is it a bug or something? I'm like, no, it's moving in a straight line.
It's a big bug.
There's no way anything can move that fast. And that like when it went from here to here, it was a straight line. It did it this fast. So I'll do kind of mimic it with my finger. It went from here to here to here to here to here to here to here, and then it went way over here.
Yeah.
That fast.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Very interesting. And the fact that you have such a knowledge of what planes and aircrafts look like, so visiting you, someone who would know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at one point when I was outside, I said, is that a helicopter? I'm like, well, when it's white, when the light's white, because it was at one point white, and I'm like, I guess if it stayed just like that, I guess it could be and then it zigzagged, and I'm like, there's no helicopter that can move like that. No way. No way.
It was hearing your doubts and going, okay.
It's like, hello.
I thought it would do that. I thought I was projecting it because I was like, it'd be cool if that thing zigzagged. I'm like, wait a minute. What's going on?
Yeah.
Somebody's tapped into me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting. And then it's just the energies are very interesting.
I don't need it to be anything.
Mm-mm.
Right.
I don't care if anyone believes me or not.
Right, I know.
From my observation, I'm just reporting it. I wrote it down, but I don't need it to be anything.
Mm-mm.
In fact, like I said, my heart was pounding, and I said, okay, just calm down.
Mm-hmm.
I slowed my heart rate down, and I said, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm still me. I'm still here.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I couldn't help it when I came back in. I was writing that, and I write this, and then I would stop and go, so what happens next?
What's the next?
Am I ready? Because I don't think it's a matter of them being ready. I think it's a matter of me being ready.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So we'll see what happens.
Very cool.
All right. I just want to go on record to say when I started this list down, first thing I wrote down was 1/1/2020.
Like
when I wrote that, I got tingles. I just got tingles. I just want you to know. 2019 was the setup. 2020, for those who are, I don't know, it's all a matter of you deciding you're ready to see what there is to see and to hear what there is to hear. Some magnificent things are being queued up, and I use purposely. So, all right. So, let me go ahead and start. I wasn't going to start with this one, but as I started with the second one, or I got ready to write the second one, something said, no, wait a minute. No, you have to go back. You're meeting with the council. And I said, oh, okay. So right then I got what I needed to write down. So the first item is catalyst of the circle. In meeting with my council, and this happened today, In meeting with my council, I noticed a new outer circle. So remember, originally there was just the one circle, and my council sat around the circle. Then at some point, another circle was added, and it sat up a little bit higher and kind of looked down at, and there was another circle of beings around that. And then I told you about the gallery.
I have a visual of this in my head, how it looks.
Yeah. And then the gallery got bigger and bigger until it was the size of a stadium. Okay. All that's still there. Well, I got a third circle, and it's on the outside. As I focused on it, it began to spin like a gimble. All the members of my council stood and began to celebrate. Along with those of the gallery, all thousands of them. It was packed. I mean, packed to the gills. When I inquired as to the significance of the circle and celebration, I was immediately answered with jubilation that the circle represents my internal catalyst of change and that I no longer require outside catalysts. What does that mean? I asked. In reverence, they answered, sovereignty. Should you choose to accept it? And when you do, all other sovereign beings will accept your action as being free of coercion, as they will with all other humans who come to accept it. In that moment, the responsibility and camaraderie hit me.
Yeah.
Just the feeling was, I can't even describe. There are no words for it. It just, I felt huge and small, and huge and small, and huge and small. It was like I was becoming much bigger than myself, but then I could go back and feel myself. And then I was bigger and could feel more beings and more awareness and more things. And then I was back to myself. And it's a choice.
I recognize that feeling.
It just kept going on. I felt like a yo-yo. It wasn't overwhelming. There was almost an overwhelming feel when I would go huge, but there was so much bliss with it. It was like, oh, okay, whatever. I was just like, thank you. Can I have some more?
Thank you.
No, not back there. Okay. No, not back there. I just kept going back and forth. Wait, oh, there it is. Oh, wait, there it is. All right.
Wow. Did you feel like a completeness? Is that what it felt like, or?
Completeness is so small.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't really compare it to anything.
I keep feeling like home, just like that's just it. Like it's like what samadhi is, but you can't describe it because it takes away from what the feeling is. Like there's no description for it. So it's like if you have a description for it, it can't be that because there's no description for it.
Exactly. As soon as I try to reach out for a description of it, it goes away. And I'm like, no, go away. Yeah. So it's like being 1,000 of me all at once. But each one of me is different and has its own presence. And I could all of a sudden tap into 1,000 of me and then back to one of me and then 1,000 of me and then back to one of me.
That's cool.
So that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's how I started my council.
That's awesome.
So thank you, Jenny, for inquiring about this, us doing a video as soon as she got back. Because we were going to do a video while, over the break, and it just wasn't feeling that. I know now why. It was kind of like they were constructing. They were building up to this, and like, no, we don't want to dissipate this. We don't want to make it. We want to build up to this. Yeah. So I'm good with it now. I'm good with it. So
it works.
All right. The next one is, what are your catalysts? Are they external, people, articles, or events? This was planned to get the ball rolling in your thinking of what really is and where you position yourself relative to objects. This is the beginning phase of clarification of who and what you truly are.
Mm. That goes back, it touches back to that sovereignty you were talking about. Do you need the external? Yeah.
Oh, you just...
Did I look at your list?
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. So, what are your catalysts? No one can tell you what your catalysts are. What gets you moving? Are they internal? Are they external? There's no wrong answer. So let me start with the next one because I'm getting into this.
Yeah.
I'm getting into the next one. So the next one is lead us not into temptation, the catalyst of want. What do you want? What do you truly want? There is no wrong answer, just a clarity of purpose. What is the purpose of a bigger house, a higher paying job, or a nicer car? If you had no such material wants, what does that say about your purpose? Is it possible that you realize those external things are but distractions for your true purpose? And that temptations are not bad, but a means of clarifying your readiness of a higher purpose. Again, I ask, what do you truly want?
Yeah.
There are wants, and then there are wants. What do you want?
Right.
And there are 3D wants. And if you have any of those are for you to reconcile. That's for you to deal with. No one could tell you, don't want this, don't want that, whatever. But beyond that, and deeper than that, are what you truly want. All those other 3D things they're distractions to try to keep you from those other wants.
Or to teach you something about who you are, and so that you can learn something about what's going on with you.
Which is really to get down to what you want. It's why do you need all that information? So you can better understand what you're wanting when you see them. So the next one is ending the manipulation of your catalysts. No more advertisements to manipulate your wants. It's time to choose what moves you. Can anyone tell you what you want? If not, why reward them with that power? To take back that power, we simply stop looking out there for something that isn't there. But instead of getting angry that this was done to us, we can utilize those external things to help us see the true promised land inside us, our own internal catalyst. That is the promised land. It's those things out there are just to kind of help you spotlight the things inside you that get you moving. Are you aware of them? Do you know when they're being manipulated? Because all of us are being manipulated, or have been, or still are to some extent. But it's not bad. In fact, nothing is bad.
Right.
It's only bad you don't want it.
Yeah, and the conflict is when you say you want it, but you're not doing it. You know, it's that.
This is what you say you want, and this is what your actions say you want. It's trying to marry those up. Who are you when you're with others? Who are you when you're by yourself?
Well, and sometimes it's the flip of that too, meaning you say you want it because you don't really want it, but you say you want it because it's outside. And the opposite of that, you say you want it, but inside you want it, but you're not doing the right things for it. So it can be either way.
Yeah. Well, we try to tell ourselves we want things because we get pressure from the outside to fit in here, to fit in there, to be included in that, and to be included in that. So no one can tell you to join that group and don't join that group or whatever. They can try to manipulate you or put pressure on you or whatever, but in the end, you are your final arbiter. That's it. Now, whether or not you take that power and utilize it, that's up to you.
Right.
All of us gave that power away in coming here to understand and start to appreciate our power.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, the universe sends a level of energy, and it's kind of like, all right, did that move them? Okay, well, send in the next one then. And so another wave comes in that's a little bit higher frequency.
Yeah.
Did that move them? No, all right, well, go ahead and send the next one in. And that's what's happening right now.
Yeah. And I get that the wanting or the not wanting of it, what's really inside of you, there's, like you said, it's not right or wrong. It's the discrepancy that causes your suffering.
Right.
Causes what feels like right and wrong.
Well, it's kind of like the federal government, or the whether it's the FBI or whatever, when they get you, or IRS, it's the penalty for like breaking this law or breaking that law is typically not that big for everyday people. It's that penalty is typically not that bad. It's the lying that we do to try to get out of it that they end up really slamming you home with.
Yeah, that's true.
And that mimics us.
Yeah, it's because of what's inside versus what
we do to ourselves that causes all the disparity and issues inside us.
Absolutely.
So, all right, next one is awaken your true catalyst inside this hall of mirrors. Inside this 3D world of manipulation, corruption, and fear resides your own hall of mirrors to show you. This 3D world isn't evil or bad. It's just a placeholder, a backdrop, a movie theater to buffet us with catalysts until we awaken to their effect and then develop our own catalysts. All of the external catalysts are some of the available options, and they will continue to be shown until we choose from their list or awaken to our own sovereign choice. There is no course of study and then a final exam. This world is one big living test where you grade yourself by your choices and actions. So, wakey, wakey.
That's good.
That's what this whole thing has been. There is no study program. This is all one big test for you to. What are you going to get out of it? What are you going to turn it into? You can sit there and be a victim and complain and moan. That's part of your whole learning process. But at some point, you kind of say, okay, enough of this. Let's go. What do I want?
Yeah.
So, the next one is the catalyst of sovereignty. Like your wants, your sovereignty isn't to be found out there, but the catalyst to finding them will first appear in its mirror. Your awareness of manipulations, your fears, your thoughts, and your actions begins an awakening of your view into your matrix of mirrors. Sovereignty is you turning your focus of thought from the mirror to the being causing its reflection and loving that reflection.
Yeah, that was good.
I like that last one. Sovereignty is you turning your focus of thought from the mirror to the being causing its reflection. Think about that.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. That was
it's got a double and a triple meaning, and then loving that reflection.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time for each of us. But in that time, what are you going to do? What are you going to get done? How are you going to see the world? How are you going to see your purpose? How many iterations of you are you going to go through? So,
that was good. That was a good one.
All right. So, the last one, and this one I got in the second sitting.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the more. Catalyzing your circle of trust. Who do you trust to tell you what you want to hear? How about what you need to hear? Reconcile that with what you want towards sovereignty. Define sovereignty. Your definition will change as you approach it. This is the clarity of proximity.
Mm.
The further you are from it, the less you'll listen to others about it. This is the separation from sovereignty. As you get closer to it, the more you'll want to listen to others about it. This is the transmutation of the sovereignty paradox. Closing the distance to others to assist in the defining of you. Your sovereignty defines you relative to others until no distance exists and your unique self freely chooses multidimensionality, the mingling of minds and being in all places as one. But until then, you are defining you and assisting me in defining me.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Mm. Yeah. I like that. Mm-hmm. It's trying to make us all like the other. You know, it's allowing everybody to, you know, recognize who they are in comparison.
Right. So let's just do a what if. What if you got rid of all pressure to fit in with this group or fit in with that group, and you just did what you truly wanted? Like what was going to actually bring you true joy, but you hadn't reached it yet. You were working for it, but you were 100% committed to it over and above everything else. And you basically, in doing that, you recognize that in everyone else. So now every time you come together with someone else, you give them the respect because you're doing the same thing they're doing. Mm-hmm. Think of that kind of world. Mm-hmm. That's the world we're bringing. Yes. Before we get to full-blown multidimensionality, we're going to bring all of us to this world where we respect each other because we recognize you're doing what I want to do, which is to find me and to understand, why did we come here? What are we really trying to do? Yeah. This amusement park was somebody else's. It served its purpose. Now I know what I don't want, but I'm going to focus on what I learned from it to help me start moving towards what I want.
I feel like, especially with the moms that I meet now with school, it's kind of, the connections are kind of like that. Whereas it used to be, it would be the group that I would sit with would be like, the snarky, you know, just this. But now it's kind of, I'm meeting new people that I maybe never would have even looked at before. And it's just different kinds of people. And it's more of an allowing connection of, oh, you're doing your thing and I'm doing mine. It's just different. And it feels kind of the way that you just described it. It's just people allowing each other to just be who they are and not needing us to do anything else, and just kind of liking each other for that way too. It's different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not needing to convince or change or, you know, put somebody on a path or, you know, right somebody's wrong. It's just, okay, that's their choice. That's their journey.
So I think now if I'm confronted by someone and they could be saying whatever words, it doesn't matter, and I feel into it, and that isn't propelling me forward, it's actually pushing me back, I'm not going to argue with them. Right. I'm not going to get angry with them. Right. I'm going to thank them for showing me that's the direction I don't want to head.
Exactly.
And to take my power, I'm not going to give them my power. I'm going to take my power and I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the turning of the cheek.
Yeah, exactly.
Arguing with them, you're just giving them power.
Right.
I'm not going to try to convince them to hear my words and to believe what I believe.
Because there's so many other doors you can go through now, whereas there used to only be a few, or we thought there were.
Yeah,
well, they manipulate us to believe it because we gave them that power. They're not at fault for doing it. We're at fault
Right.
if anything, for giving them power. But we're not even at fault because we said we're going to learn from this.
Mm-hmm.
We're really going to learn.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I don't need my hand smacked by a hammer 15 times before I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Me too.
Eventually, I'm going to take the hammer away from them and go somewhere else and give it to someone that's not going to smack my hand with it.
Mm-hmm.
Can I fault them for smacking my hand with a hammer? Can you fault a child for spilling milk or toppling something over? You can.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can teach them not to do that, whatever, but the real thing is don't put them in situations where they're going to do those things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Until they're of sufficient awareness that you realize that they can learn and you don't need to sit there and babysit them constantly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not our job was not to come here to babysit others. It was to come here and say, okay, I'm not ready to deal with you yet. So I'm going to go over here, or you're not ready for me. So it doesn't matter. It's just, this isn't working right here. So I'm going to go over here where this is working. And then, but I'm not going to give it up completely on anyone. I'm just going to say, okay, that's not resonating. I'm going to go over here. Now, what does that mean? Well, I think the closer you get to sovereignty, the more of that you can handle.
Mm-hmm.
The further you're away from sovereignty, the less you can deal with dispute from anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we've been.
Yes.
That's where we've recently been or still are right now.
As a society.
You don't want to hear about sovereignty if you're the furthest away from sovereignty you can get.
Right. You try to make it bad.
Yeah.
Exactly. Attack it. Well, and the other thing too is we've talked in the past about, and earlier today too, about the fact that shifting the reality of what our world is to be is not going further into those things which you don't want, like you were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. It's pulling your energy and removing your energy from that, turning the other cheek and putting your energy into those things in which you do want, and your heart is open to, because the heart is the amplifier. Right. And so the other is very minimizing and depleting from an energetic perspective, and you get nowhere. So if you pull that energy in and you project it to what you want, it's going to not only feed you, but it's also going to be amplified. The impact of it's going to be amplified.
Yeah. When we came here, the reason it was set up this way is to set the default level. The default level was disparity, separation, fear. It was to set that as the default level, and everything stemmed from that. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's a level of learning that is very conducive to be learned at that level. Okay. But at some point we say, okay, I'm ready to go to the next level. The next level is now resetting the default so that I remove all those other old defaults where it's built on separation and fear and whatnot. Now I want a new level. That new level is of coming together. There's a long time until we get to true sovereignty for everyone. In the process, we're still a lot to learn, but we want to get rid of the old default level and get a new default level where we get along better. Things go in your favor more often than they don't. Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
You know more about what you want than what you don't. That new level of default sets a whole new standard of learning.
Yeah.
You're no longer worried about surviving. You're now looking at thriving.
And exploration.
That kind of level opens up a huge amount of creativity.
I saw something, it's like we live in patterns, and once you change something in the pattern, then the things fall away that don't go with the new pattern, and then the things that you need for the new pattern start to come in. And then as the pattern changes, that just continues to happen.
Yeah, we were talking earlier today about how we lock ourselves in to things and be like, oh, don't, it's something. And we'll go, oh, well, if I were going to do anything, I might destroy it trying to create something else. And we'll go, oh, don't destroy that. Like it's the only one of those things that you can get. And it's like, instead of being that exploration of, well, I need to cut it in order to like do this new thing. I need to change this or destroy that or get rid of that in order to create something new. If we're in survive mode, it's very much anxious and difficult and painful.
Yeah.
But if we're in that creative mode, it's exploring, knowing that, okay, well, if it doesn't work out, we're going to figure out something and something else will come.
Right.
We're holding on to things so tightly.
Well, that's the old default, the old paradigm was things were made that way. You don't mess with it.
Right.
Now it's actually things were made and put in our circle in order for us to mess with it, to open up our creativity, to see how we can pull the parts away from each other and then kind of redesign them and reorganize them in such a way to see what else we can come up with. That new paradigm is different than the old paradigm. The old paradigm just didn't foster that much. It fostered survivability. That was the main thing, is can you get through financially? Can you get through organically and be able to eat and have a place to live and all that. Now we're gonna get rid of those concerns, where those are all pretty much taken care of. Now it's a matter of learning with all those things taken out of the picture. You don't have to worry about survivability. You don't have to worry about food. You don't have to worry about water, clean drinking water, and health. Your health is all taken care of. Imagine all that taken care of. Now imagine the level of learning.
Yeah.
It's going to be more creative. It's going to be more, it's not going to be worried about destroying, what are you using that toothpick for? You should put that back. Oh, it's a toothpick. I mean, I should be able to break it and push it together and make my own unicorn if I want.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and not only that, but, even working with students like I do, a lot of times you'll get, well, I would love to do this, but I really can't make a living at it. It's because they're thinking I've got to be able to pay for rent or house payment. And, so there's so much that we constrict ourselves with. That creativity is just stifled because of it.
And that is the brainwashing that we agreed to when we came here to level set all of us in that survival mode.
For that game.
For that level of the game. But now that game, universe has actually whistled and said, all right, that phase is over. Time to move on. So now we're seeing the signs, and that's what all these energy waves are, and the changing of our DNA is we're moving up to the next default level.
Well, and I get the feeling that, and this just came on really strong when you were talking about that just now, was that we talked about the board earlier, but what came through to me right now is the board game, the board that we're playing on at the end of the year changed. 2020, those old ways aren't going to work on this new board. The new ways, people are going, the way that they used to do things aren't going to work the way they used to work. And now they're going to be going like, why isn't this working? And what do I need to do? And it's to shake it up so people start to recognize, wait a minute, the game has finally changed, because as long as that board was in place, we could still play that game, even though some of us were kind of like doing it differently or, saying, I don't want to play anymore, those kind of things. But now if the board changes, everybody's going to be forced or encouraged to look at it and go, wait a minute, that's not working.
Well, that's the whole point of this, is in the old paradigm, A plus B equals C. And that worked every single time. Pretty much everyone had their own A's and B's to get C. And that's kind of the way it worked. Now it's A plus B equals D. And no matter how, they're just going to keep trying to do A and B and trying to get C. And they're going to keep doing it until the energy waves and the DNA changes enough, but there's nothing we can do for them. They have to realize it. Once they realize A plus B now equals D, then we can talk to them.
And then C doesn't even matter anymore.
He's gone.
They're chasing the sea.
That's it.
Cool.
So that's, I mean, it's a whole new paradigm. Where in old times or previously, we would have had to take centuries to move from a one paradigm to another. We're leaping to it. That's what that's why all this is so different, is that we don't have to take that time to do it. That's why time is different. This time is different because we're taking what would normally take centuries, and we're compressing it down to happen in a matter of a few years.
Imagine the history books. They're going to be like, who knows what happened, but we had this huge surge. Or they'll make up something else.
Well, that's funny because we were talking about Cliff.
Oh, yeah.
And he put out some tweets today.
Cliff High.
And he was saying, oh, yeah, the year 2020. Oh, by the way, actually the year 966. Because I don't know if you know this, but they played with our calendar. They actually, there was a year, and then because of who was now in power and whatnot, they went ahead and jumped the calendar forward 1,000 years, actually 1,100 years. They jumped it forward. It had to do with religious beliefs and all that. They wanted to be closer to the coming of Christ.
And there's no history written during that time period. Or
None. Nothing happened during that 1,100 year period.
It's crazy.
Nothing. No history at all, because no time actually elapsed during that time.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? But you're right. Who's going to write the history of this time period?
Well, it's, to me, in the old paradigm, we required, because of the way things were set up, we required external documentation of what was going on. The new paradigm is we're not going to have such need, because we are all historical recorders.
Yeah, we've talked about we're actually time machines, because you've got the historical recorders and you've got the prescience of the future, because we can also feel and see into the future.
Yeah, you want to prove you're a time machine? Find a quiet place, and start thinking about something that happened to you in the past. So much so that it pulls you in and makes you start feeling what you were feeling in that time. You just time traveled.
Yep. And we've
did a lot over the holidays when I was in Virginia.
Yeah. And we've experienced where you'll think about things into the future, and then you see it in the future somewhere. You get a feeling like we've talked about things, and then it shows up in your future. So it's like, where did that come from? Did we think of that, or did we get a signal from the future that it was going to be there?
That's another proof. Every single one of us is prescient. Every single one of us. You get a gut instinct to go here and not go there, to do this and not do that. That's prescience, because something just told you, wait a minute, I have a bad feeling about that. That's prescience. You may not be able to see it all, because seeing is just one sense. I mean, prescience covers more than one sense.
And seeing is only a small spectrum.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, and we've talked about, when we started this channel, the dragons, and shortly after that, you were talking about, we're going to dragon energy. We both felt dragon energy. That's why we named this StarDragonBrood. But Tim was saying, we're going to be seeing dragons everywhere. And I mean, it's everywhere. You see it in writings. You see it in videos.
I was just talking about it today.
I was listening to a meditation on the plane last night, and then they started talking about purple dragons, and I was like, wow.
I cannot go a day without reading or hearing the word dragon. So when we did, did we do that video with you where I talked about we were going to start seeing dragons, more and more dragons? I think we did.
Was it
maybe?
I think it was. It was way early.
Way back. Okay.
It might have been.
That was like how I don't know how many versions of me ago.
I know the feeling.
This is the time travel. So, but I in one of the videos I talked about dragon energy, and I said that dragons would start appearing and be all, and there are. I go on Sling TV, and there's dragon movie. There was 3 in a row. I couldn't. I mean, all over the place. Dragon. I'm reading articles. I'm reading an article has nothing to do with medieval times. It's on financial stuff or something like that. And all of a sudden, they throw the word in dragon, and I'm like, what in the world? Why did they use? There was so many options they could have used, and they chose dragon.
So the Prescience, you share these things on this channel, and then it happens. It's like the Prescience is coming through and very clear, and the more centered and open you are, the more that Prescience comes through. What?
So about the
oh my God, this is hilarious. That was probably 4 or 5 years ago.
It had to be.
We were talking, and I can't even remember the context of what it came up in.
Yeah, we were talking because people were talking about unicorns, and and when people would
it was during our prepping phase, and things felt very dark, right? And then some people were all fluffy, nice or something.
And people were
trying to figure out, what's happening here.
Yeah, they were trying to say, oh, everything's going to be okay and everything. And we were talking about, unicorns shitting Skittles.
Yeah, unicorns shitting Skittles. And
so we just kept utilizing that repeatedly. We called them shittles.
Yeah.
And when we would say that, we knew what we meant. So we talked about a unicorn shitting Skittles. That was our constant thing. Now, just to be fair, that wasn't our term. We read it from another article. Someone talked about, oh yeah, you believe in fairies and unicorns shitting Skittles, and so we thought that was funny, and so we just started saying it all again.
Yeah.
Then she showed me a picture.
Let me show you.
And told me the story. So.
Yeah, so my granddaughter gets a gift.
She just got back from West Virginia.
I just got back from the holidays. She gets a gift, and I don't know if you can see it.
Back up.
Can you see it?
It's a unicorn that poops?
Yes, candy. Colored candy, like Skittles.
Candy. So if you were to put Skittles in there, they would be Skittles. Now think about that.
So you created a toy.
First of all,
your thoughts.
You make a toy unicorn that shits out candy. Who buys that for a child?
Oh my God.
So I took a picture of it, and I was like, I've got to show you this. But I didn't take it to him. I wanted to see his face.
Oh my gosh. I about lost it. Now tell us the other gift.
Yeah, so this was a couple weeks ago. He said he was feeling, because of the body changes that we're all going through and different things mending and stuff like that. And he was saying, he felt like he was that man in the Operation game where people were.
That's not where it started. No. Oh. We did a video with Sheila and Lisa a while ago. Okay. And I talked about. This was a dream that I had of being on a medical deck. It was a flat medical deck, and I was laying flat out.
That's right.
And above me were multiple layers of holograms, holograms of my insides, and there were 2 medical techs working on me in the hologram, and they were making changes internally inside me without having to open me up. Mm-hmm. And so I recounted that from my dream. Mm-hmm. And I said, when I described it, I said, it was kind of like the game from when we were kids called Operation, where they were taking these kind of tweezer-like things and grabbing certain things and moving them around and making slow. And that's, when I was watching, that's what it reminded me of, people playing that game. If you've ever watched people play, especially when I was in college, we used to play different board games. And one time we were drinking. Yes, I know that's leaving to college, but we were drinking, and someone broke out Operation, and we were playing it. It's the funniest thing when no one could do it because everyone's drinking. So we're going over this. Then she tells me.
So another gift that my granddaughter got was an operation game.
Of all the games she could have gotten, it's that one, because that game is from the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Tim wasn't there with me when she got the gifts, but he was there with me when she got the gifts. It was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious.
But it's happened to all of us.
Yes.
But
to pay attention.
But are you paying attention? Just
right.
like in this list, are you paying attention to your catalyst?
Yeah.
Are you paying attention to the little messages that your higher self is sending you to say, that's why I put that adversity in front of you. That's why I put you in that situation. Mm-hmm. That's why I confronted you with that person. Yeah. Are you getting the message?
Yeah. Yeah. And then when you do, like you said, pay attention to when it manifests, and that just helps your confidence in what you're doing. When you pay attention and you don't just slough it away as, oh, that's just a coincidence. It's like, no, there's a reason why it's showing up in your path somewhere.
Because I got to be honest with everything that's been going on, and we've been talking about this for quite some time about, like, we would have a conversation and I would use a particular word, or you would use a particular word, and it would be within the next couple of days that it would start appearing in multiple articles.
Yes.
And this would be a unique word, not something you would hear every day. Then the time frame started getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And I would recount it to her about how often it was happening, and it was happening a lot more and a lot more, and the duration was getting shorter and shorter until it was happening that day and whatnot. I'm at the point right now, I don't need anyone to believe me. It doesn't matter. I'm not looking for anyone to, I'm at the point right now where my direct manifestation is just days away. Because I'm already doing it. I don't know what that light in the sky was, but it happened right then. And things are, I will have a conversation with her and use a certain word, and I'll go into my room and start reading. And within 10, 15 minutes, that word is popping up in 2 or 3, 4 different articles.
Yeah. And it won't be simple words. It'll be like, some of them I'll be like, what does that mean? I've never heard that word before. And then he'll see it, and then we'll see it 2 or 3 other times from different people and different, some of them are even like shows that are recorded or art, like somebody, it's a recent word that's all of a sudden a fad. It's not that.
And the one of the word, because now I'm doing it multiple times a day now. The latest one that happened today was the word mimic. Not a word you hear very often. I've already heard it like 6 times today after I used it. Hadn't heard it at all when I was before I used it. Yeah. And then next thing you know, now maybe my awareness wasn't turned on before I used the word. I don't know, but there it was. Is that how we become more aware? Yeah. We utilize something. Yeah. And then, boom, the awareness is turned on. Well, isn't that the same idea of this whole matrix? You tell yourself, I have the power to do this, and boom, you have it.
Yep, I am.
All you have to do is believe. The trouble is getting to the belief part of it.
Yeah, that's somewhat what the different methods people use of affirmations and things, that I am the light, I am the love, I am, you can say it, it's the believing of it,
right?
Recognizing how you are it as you go through the day, whatever that belief is that you're trying to become aware of in your own reality.
Doing it in the mirror helps too, I think.
Yeah.
Just looking at yourself when you do it just adds credibility, or just adds something to it.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking to you, me.
And really that's the way to start closing this gap, because you can guide yourself. If you're looking into your eyes, you feel it. When you see something, you feel the hesitancy or the doubt or the voice that's going, no, you really don't. you can recognize where those gaps are, so that then you can at least become aware of them to know where they're at, where they are, so then you can start paying attention to it.
Right, because it's got to permeate every cell in your body.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to leave it inside and out.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
and we've been having, speaking of holograms,
Mm-hmm.
we had the conversation about holograms. I've been telling her about some of the visions I've been having.
Mm-hmm.
And the vision that came through very, repeatedly over the last couple of days was holograms everywhere. Everything you can think of, hologram. Everything was going to be in hologram form. So I talked to her. I saw a person working in a holographic context, taking little screws and nuts and bolts that were holograms, and it was utilizing a hologram tool to grab them and put something together. What it was doing, it had a kit, and it was putting all the pieces together to create this part, this item,
device or whatever.
This device, what they were working on is putting together an instruction set that would go with the devices that would be sent out to people. And she asked me, what was the device? And I said, it was a hologram projector. Everyone was going to want one. And this hologram, it looked like a bullet, except for it was more dome-shaped and more squat, but it was shaped like a bullet. And it would send out a hologram from there. And I said everyone was working and would want one of these, because all your communication, your phone calls, because it was all, you do face-to-face communication, and it would look like the person was right there in front of you. And then movies, TV, games, video games, anything you can think of could be. And then people actually sculpting and working through this device. This would become kind of like the new central hub of kind of replace TVs and phones.
I can see it happening in my mind. Like I can see them working. I can see it. I have a visual of it.
Yeah.
So I saw people, hospitals were utilizing, just like I saw them, that I was in the medical med table, and they were utilizing the hologram, different layers of holograms to actually perform operations. I saw holograms being used for anything you can think of.
What we were talking about too is you could, if you had a hologram, you could create your own scene. Like if you wanted to be on a tropical island with, parrots and whatever, you could create that scene and the hologram in it. And then you could be experiencing it as if you were there. And the interesting thing in our conversation was the only thing that would prevent you from believing you were there was your mind. And so that's why it's so important to, gain a control, if you will, or power behind our intent and our thought. Is right now the only things that's keeping us from doing what we want to do and having the environment we want is our mind saying, is it real? Is it not real?
Think about what, I kind of hinted at this when we were talking about it. Think about what that hologram projector represents. It is a stepping stone to manifestation. Because think about it, this matrix, you are manifesting all these things. You just don't realize it. So you need some convincing that it's there, and or that you can do this, but you can't do that. It's laws that we follow, but we don't have to. Well, someone wanting to get this in here and get us to believing is, hey, look at this new projector. It's a hologram projector. It can display any kind of thing. Well, many people can jump on that versus going straight to direct manifestation. So they go to that. There's going to be a lot of people utilizing these projectors to holographically go to a Zen temple or go on vacation or sculpt or whatever until they're ready to go to the next stepping stone, which may be...
I wonder if it'll be Apple or Google that gets this hologram going first. I'm just kidding.
Are going. They're going. This is This
I
is
think
gonna,
people won't trust them.
yeah, this is going to be held by true philanthropic beings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I talked to her about POTS.
Yeah.
People of trust.
Mm-hmm.
And that
we'll probably see the acronym somewhere now.
Yeah. So
people of trust.
I told her about the need for the people will, once they push the governments and all the old system away, the need for people of trust to just help guide, not tell them what to do,
mm-hmm.
but just say, think about this or think about that. And because there'll be a lot of people going, hey, well, why don't we do this?
Mm-hmm.
People of trust would go, yeah, but remember, you would have to invest this and you would have to do this. And then that, by pushing back a little bit,
mm-hmm.
there would be a lot of people go, yeah, I don't really want to do that. Mm-hmm. Think about the people that do that in your life. Mm-hmm. Communities are going to need that. Yes. And the people of trust are going to go through an authentication type process mm-hmm. that's like nothing we've ever had before. Mm-hmm. It's going to be transparent. It's going to be completely upfront. It's going to be using your telepathy and empathy mm-hmm. that is just now awakening. People are going to know who they can trust. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Manipulation is, think about it, the old paradigm. Part of that default was manipulation. Mm-hmm. We had to go through manipulation so that we can understand it and recognize it. This next one, manipulation has no part in it. Mm-hmm. None. But we have to get there. We have to get the manipulated. We have to rise above. It's like we're baby turtles that just, woke up on the beach. We just broke through the shell, mm-hmm. and now we're like, get to the ocean.
Well, and just like with everything else, the awareness of it first is what happens. So we are all, I can speak for myself, I can feel and see manipulation as soon as I didn't used to be able to see it, but now you can. And people feel it. They're going like, and they're just turning away from it. They don't even know why sometimes. They just go, I don't really like that anymore because the manipulation's there. So it's already happening.
And that's your telepathy coming mm-hmm. online. Mm-hmm. We're all empathetic to some level or degree, and empathy is the beginning of telepathy. Mm-hmm. More and more people will start to realize, how did I know that? Mm-hmm. Or how did I know that person was coming here to do this and that they were going to ask me to get them to do this mm-hmm. or whatnot? Mm-hmm. That's your telepathy coming online. And then as you start to believe it, it will start happening faster and faster mm-hmm. and faster. This isn't a way to read people's minds.
No.
It's to read people's intentions.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Their intent towards you.
So that you know how if you want to engage in it. Yeah. Yes.
And plus, with your building belief in your prescience, you'll also be able to see things coming. Mm-hmm. So you won't be so shocked about when something happens, or you're like, I feel like if I go there, mm-hmm. That's not going to really be for my good. So I'm not going there. I'm going to go over here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And as you get more confirmation that this is actually working to your favor, you'll start believing and doing it more.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I have to also say that this tea bag, so before we hang up, I pulled a yogi tea bag out today to make my tea, and on it said, "May this day be the day to lead us to peace, to happiness, and to joy." And being, January 1st, New Year's Day of 2020, I was about floored when I saw it. Awesome. So I go into this year with that energy, and I think
that's perfect.
The environment is set, the game board has changed, and let's play new games.
Yep.
Let's play this.
What's your 2020 vision?
Excellent. I love it. 2020 vision.
It is. We're nice. Our clarity. So that's why I used the word clarity in here. Why I pushed out the 2020. Yeah. I started 2020, and then I did clarity because it just felt so right. with
Mhm.
the setup. So
Yeah.
that's good that you reminded me of that.
Yeah. And the back in beginning of December, November, I was like, oh, we're going to have the roaring 20s, you know, and I think I even said it to you. And now I've seen people talk about the roaring 20s. I'm like, but this roaring is going to be like roaring 20s.
Roaring in a positive manner for
Exactly.
those who are ready for it. For those
Right.
who are furthest away from sovereignty, they're going to be very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it'll be roaring. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and that's
roaring all
another
the way
thing that
around.
Cliff I was talking about
Oh, really?
is roaring 20, because that came out of one of his
Oh,
altar
yeah.
reports.
You
He
did
talks
mention
about
that a
the
long time
roaring
ago.
20s.
Yeah. Excellent.
Mhm.
Good deal. This is a great way to start the year.
Yes, it was. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Are we complete? Anyone else have anything to add?
I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel good.
Excellent. All right. See you all. Bye.